This
But
conference
we'll
will
do that.
now be recorded.
Okay. So what we're gonna log in a moment here, and we'll have a look at um, what the application looks like when logged in or when you're about to log in. But before we get started, I wanted to show you guys the Google Drive. This Google Drive is provided, free of service. It's part of the service. It's absolutely anyone can go here. It's not we don't protect any of the information here. It's all the information related to the 211 support and services. So it's a folder designated for just the 211 agencies across the country that are using the short code 898211. And it gives you sample content as well as a user guide. So there's guides, startup guides here. There's a user guide for the 898211 short code. It takes you through everything from start to finish, right? How to log in, how to use your login credentials, how to activate your login credentials, right? It's a simple process, but we walk you through it with this user guide. What are the acceptable browsers? You can include Chrome in there. Chrome is acceptable as well. If you use Internet Explorer, older versions will not work with PreventionPays. So also Microsoft is phasing out Explorer. They're going to be phasing it out and using Edge exclusively in the future. So it's probably a good idea to stop using Internet Explorer soon anyway, just because they're no longer supporting any updates. Any of the Firefox, Safari, Chrome, Firebird, if you Safari, Edge is fine. So any of the ones that you're familiar with, if you are on a tablet, and whatever's supported by your tablet is going to be okay. So pretty much any browser. Now you're going to want to possibly update your browser. It may require you to update your browser. We would show you that and let you know that as part of the application. And when you log out, it tells you what browser you have, what you're using, and how current you are. So we try to keep on top of that because with web-based services, the browser is really a critical part. It's how well and fine-tuned your browser is. You can have a slow operating browser, right? I mean, we've all experienced that, and so it's important to make sure that your browser is updated, it's working properly, it's processing information rapidly, and if it's not, and you've been experiencing a slow browser or you've been experiencing problems with your browser, it's not going to be any better with PreventionPays because it's a web-based service as well. So if you're having problems with your browser now, please reach out to your admin or if you've got IT and make sure that your browser is tuned and ready because the application is a high using application in that it's intensive. It has multiple conversations happening, sometimes concurrently, sometimes across concurrent responders or a single responder, and we'll have a look at what that looks like. And so it requires quite a bit of power in terms of what that browser is being asked to do. Okay, so when you activate your credentials, you're forever able to log in. You're able to log in with the password that's provided to you. Your password, you can change it simply by virtue of clicking the "Forgot My Password" link in the on the login page, and it takes you through steps. You don't have to know your prior password to change to a new password. It's just going to this discrete website, and it's a little web form, and it says enter your new password, and then enter it again, and then you're done, and you have a new password. So it's pretty common and similar to other models, and very easy to do. The website that you can learn more about the service on is here. The website you do your work on is here. So this is your production website, your URL that you go to do your work. And then on other parts of this guide, like this guide walks you through having a conversation. And, you know, it's important to understand the conversation, how it works in PreventionPays. So we define the text message conversation as having a beginning, middle, and end, just like a phone conversation, right? So if somebody texts you, we're going to notify you, like a ringing phone, right? We're going to alert you that somebody's that they've texted you and they want you to have a conversation with them. You open up that conversation. So you answer that telephone call by picking up the receiver. You pick up that text by opening it up in the application. And then you say hello, you greet them, right? You begin the conversation. So too in the text, PreventionPays, you send that first message out, either a hand-typed or canned phrase, and that begins and turns the conversation from open to in progress. And then you're in progress with that conversation, talking on the phone or in the text world, texting with them until you resolve their issue, provide them with the referrals, and hang up the phone. At the end of your text conversation, you close out your text, right? There's a little close button that ends the conversation. You might have one final message that you send out, a canned or hand-typed, that says, you know, if there's no further help that you need, then I'm going to close this conversation out. The conversation out, and then that gets logged in the system. It's a logged conversation. It's counted. It gets counted according to the conversations you've handled, and you know, becomes part of your metrics. So and that will happen, you know, over and over, right? That conversation model will happen over and over again. Now we have initiating text as well. So if you have a phone call and you want to text them the referrals, you can do that. You know, you can do that with the integrated solution. We're integrated with most of the CRMs. What CRM are you guys? Are you guys what web-based?
We're with iCarol.
Okay. So we're integrated with iCarol. Referrals in iCarol and send referrals straight to iCarol. I sent you guys a relay for that. What you have to do, if you haven't done so yet, is open up the ticket and ask them to activate your integrated referrals on 898-211 and provide them with that relay code, and that should be it. You shouldn't have any other issues. And then once that gets activated, you can start to text out referrals to callers or texters. It doesn't matter. With the text conversation, that referral will come and send right out of iCarol and append to your text conversation, and then you close that conversation. If it's a caller, that caller's mobile phone, you're going to want to make sure that you get their mobile phone. We'll display the delivery receipt in PreventionPays. So if you want to verify whether or not that person got that referral, you can just go into PreventionPays and search up their number, or look under the recent referral to see it right there. And then it will have a delivery receipt, just like all your other text messages. And we'll talk more about that. We'll kind of mimic what that looks like when we do our presentation and look at the user interface. So the anatomy of the conversation is described in the user interface, in the user guide here. Opening, in progress, closing, and then how to put a person into the service. Opt them in, so converting a caller to a text conversation, which happens sometimes. You might have a call that is working. The person isn't either understanding you, or you're not understanding them, or it's like you're having a conversation, but you're going nowhere, right? And so it might be a case for converting to a text conversation. It might be the perfect solution, right? To go, hey, if you give me your mobile number, I can convert you to a text, and we can start talking via text. And this walks you through how to do that as well, how to convert a caller to a text conversation. You might also need to convert a text conversation to a call, right? It might be that it's too complicated to handle in a text conversation. I have to have a call with you. Is that okay? Some people will be okay with that. Some people won't, right? The people who won't tell you, I'm hard of hearing, or, you know, I have a speech impediment, or whatever. I'm using text because I can't talk on the phone. People can't. So, but if they can, and it might be best to convert them to a call. And so converting them to a call would just be, can I dial your mobile number? Would that be okay? And if they see yes, you can place that call and a call out and have a conversation with them on a voice call. So all of those things will be addressed in the demonstration. Those are all personalized messages. Really nice, right? If you're familiar with instant messaging, know that canned phrases help you get through instant message conversations. Just with text. The more canned phrases you have for the more situations, the less typing you do. You know, typing skills, wonderful. A lot of people have soreness in their, you know, if they do too much typing, they have soreness in their hands or their arms and things like that. Carpal tunnel is common among your tribe, right? The people who do INR. The more nonverbal work that you guys do, how prone you are to those types of issues. And so canned phrases can be a real savior, right? It can really get you out of jam and keep you on typing less and less. As long as you keep those canned phrases speed, you can turn on and off your canned phrases at selection, right? You can say, well, these canned phrases are great for when we're providing season. I don't use these at all, so why have them off? Right? Okay, now this other season is coming up, the cold snap. We've got to have any assistance girls ready and available, and we've got to have conversation ready for that. And on that, right? And we turn off the other that we don't need. So having your canned phrases able to be swift change like that is really helpful, beneficial.
Jonathan, you're cutting in and out a little bit, so I don't know if you're moving around or what's going on, but we're having an issue hearing you.
Okay. Are you still having an issue hearing me?
That sounded fine.
Okay.
Jonathan, I have a question.
I'll try to speak up as best I can, okay?
Where do we get this user guide?
The user guide, I'll send you guys the link to all of this, okay? So you'll have a link.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so let's log in now. We're going to go ahead and log in, and you don't have to be doing anything right now. You're just following along with the presentation. You don't have to go to the website when I do, and you don't have to log in when I do. We're just going to go along, and I'm going to show you what an encounter looks like, and what it will look like is this. When you log in, this is your users queue, right? This is the inbox. This is where all the texts come in, and this is how you're notified of a new text when it comes into your queue. You get an audio alert, you get a visual alert. If you have notifications checked, you get a pop-up window that is on a 3-minute cycle. So, and that pop-up window tells you exactly what is new. It always keeps track of the new texts, right? You have 2 new texts, one from this number, one from this other number, and now the first one is 10 minutes old and the second one is 5 minutes old. So that pop-up window tells you how old your texts are as well. So as you guys are getting started, check that notifications box. Maybe once you get underway, it's unnecessary, it's too much notifications, but in the beginning, as you're ramping up, check the notifications box because that will keep you from missing any texts that come through. It's just a fail-safe, right? That reminds you, hey, you've got new texts, you better check them, or you've missed the opportunity. They will always be there. They will keep aging. That box will keep aging them. So if you miss a text for an hour, it will keep telling you that message is now an hour old, right? The notifications are just for your purpose. It's not keeping any kind of tabs on anything. That's in the database. That's a separate report and part of the analytics. The notifications is just, though, for your purposes to remind you of what's new in the queue. Okay, so when somebody texts their zip code to 898-211, that's how they're going to get live help from you. That's the way they will. That's how you will promote it. That's how the community learns that they can text you. It's a simple call to action. Most people know their zip code. If they don't, they ask somebody and they get it. And so we've never had a problem with that. In the nearly 10 years that this service has been operational, this particular 211 service, there's never been an issue, never an end user calling up and complaining to 211 that they didn't have their zip code or didn't know it or didn't know how to use the service. Always been able to do that. So when I text my zip code to 898-211, it's going to route to my area. When somebody texts to you their zip code, it's going to route to your area, right? So we have already provisioned all of your zip codes. They're all in your service set up. You have a couple test cases in here, or these might be real. I don't know. They could, you could have a few real cases of people who have opted in just by virtue of finding information from another 211. Even though you're not promoting it, somebody could search up another 211 and go, oh, wow, text your zip code to 898-211 to get help. And then text their zip code, and if it's in your area, it would come to your queue. And you're not ready, right? You're telling them at this time, thank you for texting West Virginia 211. Live help is coming soon. In the meantime, please call 211, right? So temporary messages until that time at which your administrators go, okay, we're ready. All have been trained. Everybody feels comfortable. We're going to turn on live messaging. That's when we turn on live messaging, and it changes from thank you for texting West Virginia 211. Live help is coming soon to how may I help you, or some form of that, right? Because we want them to know that they're going to get live help now. And then you can ask a couple questions as part of the opt-in. That's something that will be handled by administrators. They'll determine what your opt-in messages are. You'll want to wait until the opt-in process completes, right? You want to wait till that finishes. So I'm going to text in right now. I'm going to opt in by texting, and anyone's welcome to participate from their phone as well. Just know if you do participate with your phone will be in this queue. You can opt out at the end and not get any more text, but still, your number will be a record. So if you do text the service, please be aware of that your number will become a record in the system. Okay, so I'm going to text in. I'm going to send a message. All I'm doing is if I've never texted 898-211 before, I would go, I want to send a text message to 898-211. So instead of putting in my contact number as a 10-digit number, I'm putting in my contact as a 6-digit number, 898-211. If I've already texted with 898-211 before, then I'm just putting my zip code in, right, to start the conversation. If I've had a conversation with West Virginia before, and it's the same zip code, I haven't changed zip code, then I can just text in a question. I don't have to text my zip code again. Most people text their zip code again, and it's not a big deal. They just get the opt-in message again, same as they did before. But if they do text a question instead of their zip code, we'll show you that. It will pop to the top. It'll be a new text, just like if they had texted their zip code. So when I text the zip code, I'll just use the top one there, 26070. So I'm going to send the 26070 to 898-211, and we should see my here into your queue. There it is. I have my speaker turned down, but I would have heard a dinging noise that lets you know that there is a new case. The audio is a dinging noise that tells everybody, if you've got it turned on, the setting is right here. I have my speakers turned down right now because I don't want to interrupt this training with that dinging noise. But if I did have my speakers turned up, we would have heard that audio sound, right, of the ding of the new message that comes in. Now, this blinks periodically, and then if notifications is on, it has that pop-up window that comes up after 3 minutes. So if I look at this case right here, right, the 26070, then I can see here the thank you for texting West Virginia 211. So I'll just want to wait until it populates the county as well. So I can see in there the zip code got populated. We auto query for the county so that you don't have to look up the county. You don't have to look it up in your system or anything like that. It's part of their profile when they text in. So the zip code is here, the county is here, right? And then once that county populates, it's go time, right? I can open up the case and have a conversation with this phone number. So if I open up that case, then what happens is it tells everybody else that I took it, right? There's a little noise that tells people that I took the case. I don't hear that noise, but if other people are logged in, they would hear that noise. So you learn to distinguish between the two noises, the noise for a new text versus the noise for when one of your colleagues takes a text. When you hear that second noise, you know, oh, I don't have to jump on that text because a colleague took it, right? So you learn to hear for what noise comes next. And if you're on texting, then you're taking all the texts, right? And other people are hearing that second noise. Whereas if you're on phones, and you're hearing the second noise, hopefully, because somebody else is taking those texts. Sometimes you're on phones and text, and that's fine. If you're on phones and text, then you're taking text and you're taking phone calls, and you're listening for that first noise. Okay. Over here on the right are the attributes. So the Q tells me the number that I'm looking at, the number I'm assigned to. I'm the responder, right? Somebody else can't open up this case and doubly respond to this person. And then down the middle of the page runs the conversation, your primary. Your primary is the one you're texting with. And then you have the attributes. The attributes tells you more about the person you're texting with. It tells you possibly a name, like you can put in a name of a client. And then forevermore, it will update with the name of the client as well, right? Because we want you to be able to, especially with repeat users, with text, 60 to 70% return rates we've tracked. So phenomenal return rates. They like it. Once they text you once, they usually text you again. So it's handy to be able to learn that they have a name other than just a number, right? And so tracking their name, you just edit their profile here and put their name into their. If you can't do that, if it's you're following protocol that you can't have a name of a client, then you wouldn't enter that record. You wouldn't put their name into the record. But it is helpful if you're dealing with repeat clients, especially if you're helping somebody with a sensitive subject. It's nice to be able to speak to them with their name rather than just anonymously like that. And we're so accustomed now to speaking to people online that we don't know their names. That we speak to them in digital kind of lingo and handles and things like that. And I think it's personable to be able to, especially with Health and Human Services, to be able to text their name from time to time. And they feel better about it, right? They feel like they're being treated fairly, and they feel like they're being treated in a personable way. Now, the notes section is what you would imagine, summarizing your encounter, right? What happened, and notes will be part of that profile. And so if you're keeping track of how many referrals you give to people, or how many times if you have, limited number of resources and can only give out this referral once per client, and, those types of things, notes become handy because you can keep track of that. When a repeat texter comes in, yes, you can look over their conversation and see that they had already gotten that resource, but also nice is to be able to just look at the notes and go, oh, you got that resource back on whatever date, right? So that it's just a note, right? Food referral. And if I put food referral and I just update it, it automatically timestamps it and identifies who created that record. So we know the responder who handled that referral. And that's just an example. I mean, you might have a note that's much more detailed than that, the specific referral or the specific location or whatever, or something about the encounter, right? Or something about the phone. Sometimes you learn that family is using the phone, right? And so it's important to make that note that this family Jones, shares a mobile phone. And so we could be talking to Mom Jones, we could be talking to Pop Jones, we could be talking to Junior Jones, right? We could be talking to any one of the Joneses when we get this phone. So being able to create a note about that can save you the frustration. Wait a second. It looks like we provided a resource to a senior the last time. Why am I talking about bus passes to junior college, right? Well, they're sharing a phone, okay? So making a note about that. This is a family phone, right? Or if you find out that the phone is government issued or something like that, you may want to make a note about that. Those government issued phones, some of those Go phones, pay as you go, will have unlimited text but not unlimited voice. They'll have a finite number of minutes that they can use. So sometimes they're on a phone that has text only. And so it's important to make that note. It becomes imperative to make that note because you know that they're probably not going to be able to have a conversation with you because they've expired their minutes, but they can text with you. Okay, now when I'm in conversation mode, so we give you default. I'm sorry, I don't see more canned phrases here. I'm actually going to add a canned phrase just so that you can see. Hi, how may I help you? Now this would be a greeting, right? So I can change the group title to greeting, and I can mark is mine only. If I mark is mine only, it means that, and this for all specialists, if you're not an administrator, this is permanently marked is mine only. So you don't even have to worry about that. It's just always marked because you're only creating content for yourself. But if you're an administrator, you want to create content for yourself, then you need to mark is mine only. I'm going to put this as general use just so that we can see how that looks, how this new group, I'm creating a new group of text, canned phrases, and under the canned responses subtab. And then when I save that, then it becomes one that I can use with my conversations when I go back to the users tab. This will be, I'll now see greetings, right? And then I can add to that greetings. I can go greeting and then, go canned phrases, go greeting, and then go new. And then, hi, sorry for the delay. We're experiencing heavy volume. Spelling correctly, something like that, right? So that might be another greeting. So I add that to the greetings, right? So, and you can also prioritize. So you can put greetings first, right? Because if you want your greetings to be first, what you see first, then that would make sense. Greetings first. And then, your closure messages, you can go new and go closure, and you can go, okay, if there's nothing else, I'm going to close this conversation. This is just an example. You can change all this content as you need to. Please text back or call 211 if you need more. Like that, right? So this is one of my closure messages. So I save that. So now I've got, if I go back over here to the users tab, I've got my greetings and I've got my closures as well. And I'll go back over here to admin and canned phrases, and I'll put closure down at the bottom. So then users tab, and then I can turn groups on and off, right? I can have just the greetings and closures, or I can have just greetings, right? Or I can have tax season appointment or tax season appointment text, right? Or whatever I want. I can call the groups what I want. I can have as many groups as I want. Very flexible. I can turn single case messages on and off within a group. Like sometimes certain messages in a group are only relevant for certain parts of the day. So turn it off for other parts of the day. So the more upkeep you do with your canned phrases, the more valuable they're going to be during your conversations, right? And then when I select the canned phrase that I want to use, I just click send. I can also edit a canned phrase. This is Jonathan. Sorry for the delay, right? So you don't have to go with just what's the canned phrase. You can also edit the canned phrase and use part of it for a text that goes out. And then when you send it, well, then it just goes out to the client. I got that text. It's grayed out for a moment while it's updating in the system. So what we're doing is we're getting a delivery receipt from the carrier. So we get carrier grade delivery receipts on all outbound messages. That means that when we send the text, it goes U.S. Direct route, the most direct route to a mobile phone in the United States. That we provide the most direct route that it can take. And then when that carrier says we got that message, they notify us directly that they got the message, and then they notify us one more time that they delivered it to that mobile phone. So we get 2 delivery receipts from the carrier. We get delivery receipts from all carriers, even the government issued or Go phones. We get it from pay as you go, or the disposable phones. Everything. We get delivery receipts for it all. So if somebody ever says, "Hey, I didn't get your text," you've got recourse. And it doesn't matter. It could be a caller that calls you up and says, "I didn't get your text. You were supposed to text me that referral. Now look what happened. I missed the appointment. I missed the opportunity. I can't have this resource now because you didn't text me the referral." Well, you can just go calmly, what's your number, search it up, find their mobile number, and look. And if the delivery receipt is there, then they got your text. Simple as that. There's no debate. They can't argue with that. And if they do, you say your carrier told us so. Okay, so it's as good as them telling you I got your text, because the carrier, when it says that it was delivered to the mobile phone, it's a pretty good authority that it was. And so it's not an argument about whether or not you sent it. It's an argument about whether or not you have the right number for them, whether or not you've directed that to the right mobile phone. Sometimes that's the case, right? They didn't get your text because they gave you the wrong mobile number, and the wrong person got the text, and they'll let you know. They'll say, "What?" So it's sometimes good. It's sometimes good to check your referrals from time to time. You can be logged in too, and when you're sending referrals out of iCarol and just monitoring your referrals as they go out, you don't have to look at them all, but you can sort the queue by if you go to the groups and you sort by keyword referral, that's going to show you all automated referrals that come out of iCarol. Right now, you don't have any because it maybe hasn't been set up yet. But as soon as it's set up, that you can sort your queue by just those automated referrals that go out. And we'll mimic what one of those looks like right now. So going over to here to the referrals tab, and I put in my same mobile number, 831-332-0296. So when we send out a referral, when you send out a referral from iCarol, it's going to mimic this. What I do right here with this page, it's going to mimic it. It's going to send whatever content you've identified in iCarol to whatever mobile number you've identified as wanting to send that referral to or text that referral to, that will mimic these steps right here. So this is the sample content referral from iCarol, right? And I can have a address in here. I can have links in here. I can have whatever I need and whatever I want to send as part of that referral. iCarol should enable you to configure those texts out, so that you can determine what content goes. If you need further customization beyond what iCarol can support, you always can go to this tab and just put the mobile number in and put the text in the box and send it. So you don't have to use the integrated. It's a lot easier, a lot simpler, and much more efficient to do so. But if you don't, or if you can't, or if it's something that falls outside of the standard, referral protocol, then I would say, just pop over here to the referrals tab and send it, because it's, this is really simple to use as well. You just put the mobile number in, put the content in, and sometimes that's the case. You've already sent a referral, and this is just a link to a web page, and you don't want to go through the whole thing of creating another page or another contact record or another whatever. You just want to send this one little link to this caller. And so you go to the referrals tab, put the mobile number in, and send that link out. And it will go to that individual just as the referrals go and get delivered out of iCarol. There's a little box down here that tells you, is this a referral? You can check that box if it is, because that will then make it trackable in the database as well. It will identify it as a referral in the system. And if you're always sending referrals out, this box will just say check, so you don't have to recheck it. And then you just click send, and that message will go out to that phone number. If I wanted to send to multiple phone numbers, I could. I could put comma-separated phone numbers in here. I can also browse and upload an Excel spreadsheet with mobile numbers. So imagine, for instance, like if you get several calls at one time, all calling about a resource, right? Sometimes that happens. A new resource is available. It's a cold snap. A lot of people need energy assistance, or a lot of people are calling about energy assistance. You're partnering with the energy company, and they're saying, hey, can you take our calls, or can you help us with these calls? And you're saying, yep. Well, wouldn't it be great? Because if you could just text all of these people one bit of information, get them to a website, or get them to the application, or get them the PDF, or whatever it is that you need to get them, just by a text. Send them this text. Great. Putting that group of mobile numbers, you could literally be taking those calls, saying, hey, is this about energy? Okay, let me get your mobile number. I'm going to text you. Answering next call. Hey, is this about the energy? Say, okay, let me get your mobile number. Let me put it down. And then you're just putting it into an Excel spreadsheet, browse, upload your Excel spreadsheet, and send them the text. This is a group SMS to several, right? And then I've got my comma separated, or I've got my Excel spreadsheet, right? And I can just browse and upload a test case, 831 test. Oops. Just upload single number. Single number. Okay. And that would be an Excel spreadsheet with multiple numbers. I just put my cell number in there. And then when I click send, message sent, right? So I didn't have to put the number in. I just used the Excel spreadsheet, right? So now my phone got that content that I uploaded that phone number with and sent, but then it also got the content that I put the number in the box with and sent. When we go back here to the usage tab and we search for that phone number right up here at the top, we're going to see both of those contents. The content that went out when I put the phone number in, and you'll see there, that's an app referral. If it comes from iCarol, the source will be partner, right? That's the only difference. You're going to see West Virginia 211 referral, light blue. If you scroll over the timestamp, it's going to say source partner instead of app. Because I use the application, it says app referral, right? Because I used the application to send it. Same with this one. Use the application, it's going to be an app referral. In this one, I uploaded my number instead of put it into the system. Okay. And then under the notes section, so I can hide parts of this, guys, and I can just show the notes. I can hide the attributes and just show the notes and the data markers. You might have a data marker for the iCarol record. So, you know, in your admin section under markers, you can have like problem need that shows. You can edit, and maybe this is client ID, maybe this is iCarol ID, right? iCarol ID number. And so then you save that. So now when you're in your profile, you're looking at the case, you can now identify the problem need, right, that we said was food. And then we can also go iCarol ID. And then we put that in, right? And if there's a ID that we're tracking in iCarol, you can just put that number in, right? And then update. And then now I've got the food that was added, problem need, and the iCarol. And then down here, these ones were auto-generated. We knew the moment they texted their zip code, that's their zip code. So we populated the data markers with their zip code. We knew the county the moment they texted their zip code, right? Because that was auto looked up. We looked it up with a database that's very current, that provides us with the most accurate information on what zip code goes with what county. If it's a split zip code, we'll ask the client, what's your zip or what's your county? And we'll give them an option. They can text 1 for Brooke or 2 for another county, right? And Marion or Brooke or Marion, right? 1 for Marion, 2 for Brooke. If you don't have any split zip codes, then it won't be an issue. If you do, though, it'll be end user gets questioned automatically.
Okay, Jonathan, I have a question. Okay,
Yeah.
This is Barb. And my question is, the way I understood it, we take these calls through your website, but we provide the referrals through iCarol and attach them back. There'll be some sort of connection there. So will we still be doing all of this, or will iCarol populate some of that?
So when I showed you the referrals tab and you text referrals out of iCarol, you don't have to go to the referrals tab to do that. You can just text the referrals straight out of iCarol.
Okay.
Referrals tab. I showed you referrals tab because there's other things that you might want to use that referrals tab for. That's the point. There's other, like you could use that referrals tab for sending to multiple numbers like I showed you, or you could use it for a snippet of a referral that needs to go to a phone number, but you're not going to be creating a new record in iCarol, and so you're not going to be sending that referral out of iCarol. And so can I just text this information out? That's why I show you that referrals tab. But when you're in iCarol, you're logged in, you find those referrals, you text those out, you're done. It's going to append. It will show. You don't even have to go back to the case if you don't want to. You can close it. You do need to close. If you're having a conversation with the client, you do need to close out the case. But you'll see the referral comes from iCarol. It populates in the conversation, and then you're done. You close out your case. And then you can send any number of referrals to the texter. They'll all just append to the conversation, and then you close out the case, right? As far as having your conversation, though, your dialogue that leads up to the referral, you're having that in PreventionPays. You're having that in this system, right? I can also, guys, have concurrent conversations. So I can open up 304 as well. And then 831 becomes my background, and the 304 becomes my primary. So I can hide my inspector window, right? I can begin to work with multiple concurrent conversations, which is a lifesaver, especially with INR. You guys have times where it heats up. It makes such a difference when you can handle a few conversations at once. It makes a huge difference. And so being able to, handle these 2-3 conversations text the pace is usually slow enough where you're able to keep up. Because a lot of times people are in motion, maybe they're traveling somewhere or they're out and about when they're texting with you. There might be pauses, long pauses. It actually benefits you to be able to work on something else while they answer your question. So being able to table or background a case and then work on another case saves a great deal of time, makes you more efficient, and enables you to operate in a much more efficient way. So start out with one question or one conversation at a time. Get familiar with that. Open up a secondary and see how that works. If the secondary texts me, we'll see here the 831 is my number, so I'm going to send a text in right now. I have need for an elder person. Okay. So send a text. Then your background case tells you that you have to go to that case, right? So I just sent that text. So now I would click the view to then have a conversation with the 831, you see. And if 304 were to send a message, that would update live. I would see that, and then I could click the view to then background case 831 and primary case my 304. See? So super simple, super easy to toggle between cases. We also prioritize your case. So if 304-919 sends a message, it goes to your second slot, right? Your first slot behind your primary. Automatically, it shifts because we want you to look at that one next, right? Because that one sent you a message. That one's current. This one is still pending. You see? So we'll prioritize those cases for you. And we're always pushing you to what's next, what's next, what's next. So the application is gonna help you along with that. So as I said, master sending or having a conversation with one, complete that, and then try two and see how that works. But as you become more and more skilled with the service, it's a lifesaver. It really is. Being able to concurrently handle conversations is a lifesaver. Okay, so we looked at the referrals tab. We looked at conversations. When I'm done with a case, I just close it out. Simple. Close, 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 and they archive. And then I'm done, right? I'm done with the case. I can go home if my shift is over. And if you're open on a case and your shift ends, then you just pass the case to your shift, your colleague, right? So right here is where I can pass. I can assign the responder role to somebody else. The asterisk just means that they're currently logged in. That's all that means. So I can assign to Delaney, and then Delaney gets the text box. I lose it. Delaney gets a ping letting her know that she's got the text box, and then I'm done. Right? I don't have to close the case because Delaney has it. It's mid encounter, so it can't be closed. It's got to be passed. So I pass to Delaney. If you do close the case and it's premature, the person hasn't gotten the help they need yet, that's okay. You can reopen it and pass, or Delaney can reopen it. It's not the end of the world. But passing it does keep the continuity, right? It keeps it open. It keeps it in progress. It keeps it as a case that it's like putting it on hold. If you're leaving, your shift is ended, and this person is not done, you haven't completed the referral, there's times where you got to pass that case to somebody else, right? You got to pass the call to somebody else. That's what this text pass is. You're passing the text conversation to somebody else. If Delaney has to go, she passes her case to somebody else. Right. You can pass to whomever is available. You don't have to pass to the asterisk, but the asterisk does indicate that they are logged in currently. So it's probably a good indication that their shift is beginning, right? If the asterisk is there. Okay, so we talked about passing cases. We talked about closing, being done with cases. So the encounter, beginning, middle, and end. One other thing. So if I'm on a call with a case, how do I convert a caller to a text? So let's look at that. So if I convert a call to a text, I go to admin and I go, so admin, fully opt in, and then I put the number in here. This is going to take a phone number and put it into the service. If you know the zip code, great. If you don't, just use the top one, the referral, the silent keyword. If you know the zip code, then select the zip code. If not, like I said, just use that top one, 831-332-0296. So you're on the phone with the caller. You're telling them you're going to convert them to a text conversation. You can go ahead and ask them for their zip code to put their zip code in if you want. And then you just go, okay, I'm going to convert you now. And then you click the fully opt-in. You don't have to put a text in here because remember, if you use the zip code, it's going to send the greeting, right? It'll send that greeting that we have for the zip code. If you use the silent, then you can put a greeting in here or not. It doesn't matter. Regardless, you're going to go back to the users tab. You're going to find the number 831. You're going to click on it and you're going to open it. And you're going to say, you're going to start your conversation. And in here, we see that was an app opt-in, right? Because we took that phone number, we put it into the service. We didn't get that phone number. That phone number didn't text that zip code. We put it in and we artificially added that zip code, right? And then there's the county, populates, right? So I can open up that case and have a dialogue with that person. It's just that instead of that person initiating that conversation by sending the zip code, I added them to the software. That's it. If I ever need to convert a texter to a call, just what we talked about. Can I call your mobile number? Is that okay? And you can be texting with them, right? May I call you on your mobile phone? This can be complicated, right? Something like that, right? So then I send, and then if I get back, sure, right? I would say sure. And then I might say in 5 minutes, right? And then I know that I'm going to place a call to this person in 5 minutes, right? So that's great, and that's what happens, right? That's the sort of the way in which you juggle channels. Sometimes the channel works beautifully. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes a voice conversation works beautifully. Sometimes it doesn't. So having the ability to move between those two channels seamlessly is pretty good. Okay. Any questions at this point? Any questions?
I don't have any other than, this is Barb again.
Barb?
You and I probably need to talk about this, but how do we connect our iCarol account with PreventionPays?
So in the introductory email I sent instructions about that. All you have to do is just, have you ever opened a ticket with iCarol?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you'll follow that same step. You'll open a ticket with iCarol. Just open any regular old ticket. Tell them who you are. Tell them you want to activate integrated referrals in PreventionPays on 898-211, and then give them the relay code. And you state in your relay code is right here, West Virginia 211 referral.
Okay, gotcha.
You give them that, and then once they have that, 24 hours later, you're live.
Okay. Okay.
Make sure you give them exactly that, though, because if you give them any variation of that, you'll get errors, right? So give them exactly that. It is referral singular, not referrals. I can't tell you how many times that's happened where the relay code gets passed and it's somebody adds an S to the end of it, and fortunately, it's happened enough where we solved the problem pretty quickly. But any variation will be a problem. Other than you can send as capital. It's not case sensitive, so you could send capital WV, and that would be fine as well. But if it's referrals S, it would produce an error. All right. And so as soon as those are turned on, guys, you can start sending text to callers out of iCarol right away. I mean, that will happen. I mean, as soon as that's active, you can start doing that. And you don't have to be live with conversational texting. You can just start, using that part of the service. And then, Barb, what we're going to decide is when your launch date is, and we're going to decide what text you want to use for your greeting. And as soon as we decide that, as soon as we decide those two things, the launch date and the opt-in messages for your live text, then we'll go ahead and activate for you. And then, of course, your staff will be on the hook for monitoring the queue.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay.
Now, I do know that we're also going to have the option, like in the case of disaster or something like that, to do push notifications to callers or the texters we have. So,
for sure.
You and I and Delaney can talk about that later, and then she and I can train them. But I just want the folks to know that's going to be an option.
Yeah, that's another conversation, and it's absolutely an option. But what we like to do is make sure that with this first training, we just really look at live help, what it looks like, and how you use the service for live help. And then once everybody feels comfortable with that, we'll start talking about some of that more detail, some of the more issue-specific work, like disasters. Exactly right.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Does that sound good?
It does.
Okay. Well, wonderful, guys. I'm gonna sign off, and I'm gonna send you guys this recording. Unless there's any more questions. If there isn't any more questions, then everybody's off the hook, and I'm gonna sign off. Is that okay?
That's good, guys. I'll be in touch with you about this. I won't blindside you with it.
Buddy, nice. Appreciate it. Glad you, Barb. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.